Hi.
You think?
Hi.
Okay. Chavches. Hagula nimsheches ibo leches. The gula is an ongoing process. Gulas Mitzrayim, ugulas la'asid, Ashlema, the gula from Egypt, and the ultimate complete gula, Hipula achash ena posekes. So I guess the chiddush is that going even back to gulas Mitzrayim, that the gula, the first gula and the last gula are ongoing processes. Pu'ulas hayara chazaka v'zon and he explains that the activity of the Yar Chazaka Zor Natuya, Asher Yechilim Mitzrayim, which began in Egypt, and it continues to act its activities in all, I assume Mesibos here means all circumstances. Moshe Velio Golim Heim Legula Achas. Moshe and Leo are both Goalim for one Geula. Hamaskil Gomer. That would be the beginning and the end. The opening and the closing, together they fulfill the unit. As kol agula, the spirit of Am Yisrael listens to the sound of the movements of the activities of the gula, which which continues to all the circumstances, all the I guess the all the turns, all the twists and turns. Until the fulfillment of the growth of the horn of redemption in its fullness and its goodness. So that doesn't really explain very much. Okay, it tells us that there is a gula which is ongoing, but what the gula is, how gula works, not much about it. So maybe Chav
You
Tess
know,
explain.
in Chabad, they don't say at the end of the Pesach Seder, they don't say Chasal Seder Pesach
No.
because nope, they do not say it. They told me because the Rebbe said that the Gula is an ongoing process, and Yitzias Mitzrayim and Pesach and all of those ideas are ongoing, happening all the time. And so when we say Chasal, that would mean sort of an end to it, and they hold that that's not the case.
Are you sure they weren't pulling your leg?
No, 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 no. They're serious. It's
I,
one of
I,
his.
I, I
It's one of his sichas or his mamarim or something. I don't know all of his writings, but yeah, that's one of their. It's a core idea for them that Pesach is an ongoing process.
okay, that's a fascinating idea. I was only a Chabad Seder once in my life. My grandparents Seder in 1973. And since we are very tired, so we finished the Seder right after Chasal, the first night. So,
Yeah,
evidently, my grandparents were Litvaks, they became Lubavitchers. So, maybe that's why. But they certainly did say Chasal.
it's interesting because in our yeshiva in Neve, we used to sing a Satmar Niggin for Chasal Seder Pesach. So obviously Chabad is probably the only one or one of the only ones that holds that it's part of their shita. But other Hasidim do not hold like that.
You're right, though. I just looked it up. But they don't have
Yeah, but
any, evidently, they don't have any of the songs.
no, they're not big on Zemiris in general. They sing Nigunim, but they don't sing any Zemiris on Shabbos either.
No, I know, but it says
Just
here they don't sing anything near to Nigurim. They don't sing Echad Miyodeh and Chagadia either.
really that I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't stay that long.
Boy,
But
what a bummer Chabad Seder must be.
yeah, I did teach them to Satmar Niggin though. I sang it for them.
Uh, so again, and my grandparents Seder the second night when we stayed up, we said all the Nirtza. So I guess that's because they were still the residual Litvaks even after they become Chabadskers.
Yeah,
Wow. Because I see they don't sing Zmiros, that we know.
yeah,
They include Nirtza in the Zmiros thing.
yeah. It's disappointing that they don't sing Zemiris.
Yeah.
because I like to sing smears.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking here with Chabad.org. It's a real cop-out reason they don't say these things.
Yeah, it's one of their core ideas that Pesach is an ongoing thing. It's all year round. It's
Okay. Chalk it down with not sleeping in the sukkah.
yes, they don't do that either,
Yeah, I know. That's the most famous thing. Yeah. All right. Um,
and they have very thick schach, very thick,
yeah.
like you can't see anything.
Sitting in the rain, all those things they do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Reason number 362 why I'm not going to be a Chabadsker. Chav Tes. Agula Mudbasi B'Tava Yisrael. Geula is embedded, and I think this is direct. For some reason, we're in the short pieces now. All of a sudden, alarm
Yeah.
is slow again. So the Geula is Mudbas B'Tava Yisrael is embedded in the nature of Am Yisrael. He goes something me. So obviously, this is the Chav Tes and Chav Tes go together. It's an inner seal, like a definition of what a Jew is. Also, you, in the blood of your covenant, I sent your prisoners free from the bor a mine, from the well without water, which is from a prison. And as presumably dam brisech is the connection here, that it's in your blood. Moshe Meir es ora Torah. Moshe. Okay, so what are the gulas here? So the gula he referenced already in the previous piece. Moshe and Elio, right? So Moshe illuminates ora Torah, and Elio is ora teba Yisraeli sanikiya kedushas abris. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second. So Moshe is the light of Torah, and the light of Torah obviously is an ongoing light, which begins with the Yetzias Mitzrayim and continually develops and unfurls and expands over time. So there's no such thing as a time when Torah stops developing. So Torah has reached the extent of its development. It's an ongoing process. As that's the Geula, presumably, of which comes about through the Or HaTorah, is like the Torah, something which constantly is developing. Eliyahu represents the light of the Jewish nature. In other words, the Jewish personality, which is supposed to be clean, and that's represented by kedusha sabris. In other words, has an intrinsic purity to it. Hamakani the bris, and not only that, has a zealotry for the bris, and Eliyahu, of course, is the malcha bris. So there's the Torah. It's interesting that here I would expect him, being Rav Kook, to throw in Eretz Yisrael, because these are the Torah, bris, and Eretz Yisrael are the three things you have to mention in Noda and benching, or Biyotze benching. So therefore, one would expect that those three things are linked together, especially since Geula and Eretz Yisrael are very strongly linked. But he doesn't say that here. He says evidently because I'm guessing because the Geula is using Torah and Bris to return and build up the land. So the idea, therefore, is that you use the traits of Moshe and Eliyahu in order to bring about the Geula in Eretz Yisrael. So, and this idea is that just like the Torah is constantly developing and constantly creating Geula, so too the Teva Yisraelis is evidently also supposed to be expanding. Obviously, a person can always be perfecting himself, working on the shlemus, and also in the shlemus of society. I would assume, in general, the Jewish society should constantly be perfected. But avos miskaber or Torah. But here he says a fascinating thing. He says, I don't know where this comes from, but he says you have the avos and the banim. The avos, they represent the or of Torah, the or of Mesorah, right? And that is the banim or Tebe Kadosh. And he's a very strong nod to the idea of the vitality of youth and the idealism of youth and the activity of youth. There is in the young the Ora Tebe Yisraeli Hakadosh, the natural Jewish personality in a very vibrant way, which you won't necessarily find in the elder generation. So you have the older generation represents the Torah, and the younger generation which represents the vibrancy of the holiness of a Jew. And this will spring out. This will grow and sprout forth in Achri Sayami at the end of the days. B'chiburam, when these twin powers are connected. The heart of the fathers will be restored upon the children, and the heart of the children upon the fathers. So I'm not sure I see this direct connection between Moshe and the Avos and Elio and the Banim, but that's what Rav Kook is asserting here, that Moshe represents the Torah, which is that which is the elder, the excelat, and the Elio represents the bris, which in its most simple form actually refers to the youngest Jews of all, the 8-day-old boys who get the bris. And evidently is something which they are involved with maintaining. Kedusha Sabris is evidently much more of an nisayon for a youngster than it is for an old person. And therefore, there's something about bris and Elio which links somehow to youth. And as I said, assuming that there's a certain vibrancy, which he doesn't speak about explicitly, but that's what he refers to by Orot Yisroel Kadosh. Okay, any
Interesting
comments?
that he would say that he would associate Eliyahu with youth. Eliyahu, I always have this picture of him being sort of worn out or tired by Kalal Yisrael because of his, you know, he he accomplished a lot of things, but he also failed at many things, and
We
he
have no
fought it.
clue how old Elio is in Tanakh. You know that.
Right.
That is that you can imagine him that way, but we don't know. We know nothing about how his age and his the extent, the years he functioned.
Right.
But I'm not disputing what you're saying. Just say don't
No, it just doesn't. Elio never seemed to me to be like a source of vitality. Rather, he was a sort of a harsh taskmaster
Right, but
rather than
I hear what you're saying. I think that's what I think he's saying here because the association of youth with Orat Tebe. Because Rav Kook had one of his infamous pieces was his uh, his um, his uh, his praise of sports. Are you familiar with that?
no.
Very quickly. Uh, there's a thing inspire Rav Kook and sports. Let's see. I'm trying to bring it up on the screen here. No.
So did he think sports was good?
Yes,
Uh,
so there's a big positive aspect for him.
uh,
Aspect to it.
that wasn't the Litvish attitude.
No, here I said Rav Kook in sports, but I don't see Rav Kook here. No, it doesn't say anything here about. I know there's not truth in advertising. So let's go back. Where was this now?
When we were in high school, we wanted to make a basketball team, to play in the yeshiva league. Not like in a secular league. It was the yeshiva league,
The Yeshiva League, yeah.
but they wouldn't let us.
No, the Yeshiva League was from unorthodox schools.
Yeah.
Uh, Here it is. Orot 34. Okay, so it's coming up. Okay. It's coming up actually.
Okay.
So let's just look ahead actually. I didn't remember where it was. Um Orot U'Techiyaso, well, much later from where we are now. Lamed Daled.
I have
Height,
it. It's number 34, page
yeah,
pay in
yeah.
my book.
ההתעמלות שצעירי ישראל עוסקים בה בארץ ישראל לחזק את גופם של להיות בנים אמיצי כוח לאומה. היא משכללת את כוח הרוחני של צדיקים עליונים העוסקים בייחודם של שמות הקדושים. So it's mamish connected, right? You have the צעירי ישראל, they're involved in חיזוק גופם to be בנים אמיצי כוח לאומה. That's that's the banim. משכלל את כוח רוחני של צדיקים עליונים. That's the
Yeah.
avos. עוסקים ייחודים של שמות הקדושים, right? So you have the sports, which the youth are involved with, which is essentially combined with the chudim, which um, of the elders. And it says there's shneim ke'echad meshachlim mesidra kedusha kulam. They both enhance the range of kedusha. Pavlatas ofiyah shel umma in manifesting the quality of the nation. Parsha Ketana, in that small statement, Shekogu V'Torah Tzlimba, which all aspects of Torah are contingent. And then he says that talks about how we see all sorts of tuma involved in sports now. Okay, eventually it's going to fix it. So it's going to sort itself out. So this passage got Rav Kook in a lot of trouble for obvious reasons. But this is doubtless what he's leading up to over um, in our
Hmm.
paragraph over here,
Hmm.
that which is eventually going to get too much later on, and that this is the koach of the banim and the koach of the avos are on the one hand the teva Yisraeli, and associated therefore not just with refinement and musar and being uplifted spiritually, but with kind of like this raw type of power, strength, and something which has to be um, carefully monitored by Kedusha Sabris, one would presume, because of the dangers involved. Okay, I'm trying to scroll back up here. Um, we have a lot to go before we get down there. Yeah. So, in any event, so coming back over here, so this idea over here, I think, which is already raising over here, then in Chavtes, and וזה יוצא ספריס יום מחיבור ושל משה ויסחר ביחד באומה וכל אחד ואחד יסוע בפני עצמו. These koiches will be united in the nation and each every Jew. Midei Abir Yaakov, from the hands of the mighty of Yaakov, which presumably is the Orot Yisrael Kadosh. Mishomro Eva Yemen Yisrael. From there, you will be able to shepherd the Evan of Yisrael, presumably, which means the holiness of the Orah Torah, right? The mightiness of the Abba Yaakov and the foundation stone of Evan Yisrael. Av Ubnin the Beis Yisrael. I guess it's one of one of the way they darshan Evan Yisrael Avu Bnin, father and son. So according to that, Midei Yaakov is just an introduction to Misham Roa Evan Yisrael Avu Bnin to the Beis Yisrael. And of course, here also in Lamed already, he starts alluding to this. You have to arouse the Tchias Yisrael and all the powers of Shem in gathered into the nation. Chol Torah Sah, and all of its Torah, Chol Munusah, and all of its belief. Chol Midosah, and all its Midos, Chol Tova, all goodness. Chol Shor, all riches, Chol Kolcha, all its strength, Chol Yonasah, all its ideas, Chol Shirasa, all of its Soam, Chol Atzma, all of its essence. Chol Chom Chayeh, all of the warmth of its life. Chol Sichlah, Bishtas Kol Asah, involves intelligence and intellect. In all of its what's merits in English? not diligence. It's drive. And the and all of the victory of its talents. Kulam, all of the lights all together shekirba within Amisot Tzichem Lotzimi Chebion Agnisa. You have to move from the hiddenness of Gnizel or Achayim. Achusha Ruchani Ro'eh Bukasi. So all this is again all related. All the spiritual sensation sees the torch of Yisrael rising. Me'eretz Yisrael Parech HaKol. And finally get to Eretz Yisrael. So everything we learn, Chav Ches and Chav Tes, and we have Lamed, all comes together in Eretz Yisrael. Otza Garini and Shamos, the treasure trove of the kernels of the souls. Shekol Yisrael Shamu is all in Eretz Yisrael. Mitzion Michlal Yofi. From Tzion comes out the totality of the beauty. Okay, so I think this is we'll leave this for next time.
Yes.
How it's going to describe it's going to get to Yisrael. But in any event, all those things were connected and all leading to this complexity of Geula and all aspects which takes place in Eretz Yisrael, and we shall see Mitzvah Hashem next time.
Very good. All right.
Take care.
Take care. Have a good week and enjoy your parent-teacher ordeal.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.